What's up, composers? I just discovered an amazing feature that Dorico has that blows Finale completely out of the water. And honestly, just because of this one specific feature, I don't think I would go back to Finale or any other software for that matter. Because you can actually create your own custom tuning systems inside of Dorico and play back even within monophonic instruments with double stops and chords. And I'm gonna show you exactly how to do that. If you're new to this channel, my name is Mathew Arrellín. I'm a composer and cellist. I got my PhD in music composition at Northwestern University, and I also founded the Sound Painters Studio, which is an online community for composers to take their music to the next level under my guidance. On this channel, you can find courses in music theory, music composition, and now that Finale is basically dead, I'm gonna be doing these Dorico tutorials to figure out how to do some of the sort of advanced notation techniques that a lot of us learned how to do in Finale in this new software. So let's jump right in. As I said, you can create your own custom tuning systems within Dorico, and you're gonna be able to hear it played back to you exactly as you want it to. But you can also just use one of the built-in tuning systems that's available. So you can either do that in equal temperament, like, standard 12-tone equal temperament, or you could do that in 24-tone equal temperament, which is just basically equal tempered quarter tones. So now I'm gonna open up Dorico and I'm just gonna start a new project to show you what this process would be like. And the way that I stumbled upon this was honestly kind of by accident, because what I was trying to do was just figure out how to add quarter tone accidentals. And in Finale, as you know, you have to do this by modifying the font of the accidental itself, and you would normally just change it to like Maestro Percussion or some other font that you have installed into your computer. But it's different in Dorico because you actually have to use a different tuning system, and Dorico is just going to play it back, which is vastly superior to Finale, because in Finale you change the font, but it doesn't change the playback. In order to change the playback, you would have to add an expression marking that then changes the value that pitch is going to be deviated from, but you can only do it to one pitch at a time per part. And if you wanted to do it to a chord that's polyphonic, it would not work, because it would then shift the entire chord down by the degree that you changed it to. And Dorico basically solved this problem. And I don't know why Finale never did, but I guess they don't have to at this point because everyone's just going to probably want to shift to Dorico. So let me show you how you would do this. I'm just going to create an empty project, and I'm going to use, let's just say, I'll just write this for a solo violin. I'm going to add that to my part. I didn't modify anything else like time signature and key signature. You can deselect these things so it automatically removes these things from the score. I'm just going to leave it as is for now. So I'm going to move into write mode, and you can toggle between any of these by doing command and the number that's associated with these. So setup is 1, write is 2, engrave is 3, play is 4, print is 5. So I'm going to go into command 2 to go into write mode, and you see on the right, the far right part of the window, this column of different things appears, and I'm going to click on the 2 sharps, which is for key signatures, tonality systems, and accidentals. So at the top, you see that you can change the tonality system. So I'm going to click on the first bar, and then I'm going to do the equal temperament Stein-Zimmerman system. And I prefer this one because it uses sort of like the more common quarter tone notation systems rather than the arrows. Like that's what the middle one would be, the gold arrows. I prefer the Stein-Zimmerman, so I'm going to select that. And then what you need to do next is click Command plus K, and you're going to type atonal. And the reason that you type atonal is so that Dorico doesn't just automatically add a key signature based on the tuning system. In other words, you wouldn't want all A's to be a quarter tone sharp, all C's to be a quarter tone flat, or whatever the case may be. You want it to be atonal so that you can just customize every single note. And then what's going to happen is below here in the accidental section at the bottom, all of the different accidentals are going to appear, and these are going to have specific deviations in pitch so that the playback is accurate based on the tuning system that you've selected. In this case, 24 equal divisions of the octave. So if we were to go in and add some notes here, I'm just going to add, let's say, E, G, D, whatever, right? And so what you can do at this point is you can toggle between the different accidentals. If you click Option, Shift, and then the arrows up and down, you can start to go up through the various different accidentals available. So I'm going to just make this D quarter tone sharp, and then I'm going to change my G to an F 3/4 sharp. And now when you play it back, Dorico is actually going to let you listen to it exactly how it's tuned. So if we were to change this to all of like the equal tempered versions, I'm just gonna copy paste and I'm just gonna have these play back to back so that you can listen to the difference between them. So you can hear those upper two voices going up by 50 cents each, and the lower note stays the same. So this is how you would use one of the built-in tuning systems that's available inside of Dorico. But I've also discovered that you can use some pretty sophisticated just intonation tuning systems that have been developed by people like Mark Sabat. So if you go to plainsound.org, it's going to take you to this site where you can find some, and you see Chris Otto there, you can find some just intonation and microtonal resources. So if you scroll down, you'll find HEJI2 fonts for the Helmholtz just intonation pitch notation 2020. If you click on the zip archive, it's going to download, and you see I've already downloaded a few times. You click on that, your machine is going to, unzip the file, and you need to install these fonts first before you do that. So you would open it up with whatever font thing you use on your computer, and it's just going to ask you install the font. You do that for all of them, and that's going to allow you to then open up these different files inside of Dorico, where you can use these really, really complex and sophisticated tuning systems that other people have already made for you. And so it's sort of like straight out of the box, you can then start using all of these different accidentals in your own music for accurate playback. So the way that you would do that is you go into, again, key signatures, and you have this custom tonality system. I would select that or the HEJI 2020. And then you would just need to export it. So I'm going to export this to my desktop, and you can rename it HEJI 2020, save. And so it should be appearing now on the desktop. There it is. And then what you're going to do is if I go back to my violin solo, I can import this tuning system, HEJI 2020 Dorico. And now when I change my key signature, I can select it. Again, what you have to do whenever you change the tuning system is select the measure you want to do it, change your tonality system, Shift K, atonal, enter, and now I have my HEJI 2020 tuning system here available to me. And so if I were to toggle again with Option Shift between all of these accidentals, I now have this full spectrum of just intonation options available to me, which is honestly fantastic. So since people have already gone through the trouble of doing all of the hard work of customizing this system, I would, if you write this kind of music, take full advantage of it, because it's honestly an incredible resource. You can get really, really sophisticated MIDI playback without having to do all of the unnecessary, tedious things that you would have to do in Finale, like creating individual parts just to have multi-stops, which in this case you don't really need to do. So you could write a string quartet where everyone's playing triple stops or double stops or quadruple stops, and all of them are microtonally deviated, and you can get a relatively close approximation with MIDI, of course, that would, be close to the idea that you actually want to hear. So I would definitely take advantage of that. Now, for me personally, the number of accidentals that are possible here are kind of above my understanding, just because I have found that this particular kind of tuning system is really complex, and there is sort of like a learning curve with it, and I just haven't dedicated the time to learn it. If you have, that's great. You can then just jump right in and start using this. I prefer to use a more simplified approach, and so as a string player, I do enjoy music that's justly tuned, and so I have my own sort of simplified just intonation where I have my own basic notation that is not quite as refined as this one, as the HEJI that Mark Sabat and the people who collaborated with him have developed. And so let me show you how you could do that in your own music. So I'm just gonna like not save this because this is sort of an irrelevant little project, and I'm gonna open up a recent project to show you the tuning system that I created. Now here I have just a string quartet plus piano because I wanted to hear how these different tunings would be next to each other. So I have like the equal tempered version next to the microtonally deviated one. And so what you would need to do if you want to create a tuning system is you would create new tonality system, And if you want to use just intonation, then what you can do is think in cents. Because as we know, every semitone is a distance of 100 cents. So a whole tone would be 200 cents. So what you want to do is the distance from A to B is 200 cents. The distance from B to C is 100 cents. C to D is 200 cents. D to E is 200 cents. E to F is 100 cents. F to G is 200 cents. G to A is 200 cents. And now we have 1200 divisions of the octave. So when you do a new tonality system, you're going to have to customize every single accidental within that tuning system. And so since I'm thinking in cents, I can then just make my deviations based on the sense that they are relative to the harmonic series. And again, this is just a simplified version of just intonation. There are other more sophisticated ones out there, but this is the one that I've sort of been using in my own music for the last several years, and which I have just grown to like because it's simple. So I'm just going to call this simplified just intonation or simplified JI, whatever. And you can start adding your accidentals. So obviously we're going to need a flat. So what you do is select the accidental that you want, add the glyph, and it's going to populate in this grid area. And you change the pitch delta to what the sense deviation from a natural is. So 0 is plus or minus 0 cents, right? It doesn't change. Pitch delta just means how far off from 0 are you. So if we think in terms of cents, a flat would be 100 cents less. We write minus 100 and you hit enter. Make sure to hit enter because if not, it's not going to work. And then you click OK. So now I have a flat in my spectrum of accidentals. I'm going to do a sharp. Add the glyph, positive 100, enter, OK. So now I have the basic 3. You can also do quarter tones. So I'm going to just add, I'm going to again go to the Stein-Zimmermann accidentals and I'm going to add my quarter flat, add glyph, and here minus 50. Now again, this is a simplified, really basic version of just intonation. I know that minus 50 is not exactly what it would be in the context of the harmonic series because there are different deviations like minus 41 or 49 or whatever the case may be. This is, again, simplified, dumbed down, just for my own understanding. And if you want to use more refined systems, all the power to you, go for it. I just want to use this because it's what I can understand and because I like it. So there's my quarter tone flat. I can add my quarter tone sharp. So again, you would select the Stein-Zimmermann accidentals, quarter tone sharp, add glyph, 50, enter, OK. I need my 3/4 flat, 3/4 sharp, so I'm going to add those as well. Stein-Zimmermann. I'm going to do the 3/4 sharp, add glyph, 150, OK. And then I'm going to do the 3/4 flat, add glyph, minus 150, OK. And now I'm going to start adding my simplified versions of the harmonic series. So for the 5th and 10th partial, this is going to be minus 14 cents. So I'm going to add the first one. And what I like to do is I have my own font. So if you see font here at the top, it's defaulted to Bravura, which is like, I guess, the default Dorico font. I'm going to select HE-LAMH. I honestly do not even remember where I got this font, but I have just grown to love it. So I'm going to select the downwards arrow, add this glyph, and do minus 14. Okay. I'm going to do the upwards arrow. So again, select my HE-LAMH, and then you can find the upwards arrow. Whoops. Add glyph, 14. I'm going to center it. Click OK. And so now you're starting to see that it's creating this spectrum of all of the different microtones that I have set. I'm also going to need a slightly low flat. So what you can do is add the normal default flat. And then I'm also going to add the downwards arrow. So I'm going to add this glyph. And what you can do is you can click and drag it and attach it to the flat itself. And then I'm going to do minus 114 because the flat itself is a semitone. And then you decrease that by an additional 14 cents for those 5th and 10th partials that happen to have a flat. Hit enter, click OK, and there it is right there. So you can continue this process And I'll just sort of like fast forward through the video so you can see how I would do the rest of these. And then we can actually start to use these in the score. So once I have those all set, we will come back and listen to them in context. This is now just called simplified JI. And so this is the system that is currently present within this score. And so you can see when I scroll down the bottom, all of these various accidentals, I have about 15 accidentals with specific kinds of pitch deviations. And I'll just open it up so that you can see what they are. If I go into the edit tool, which is this pen tool below the tonality system, you can see what the specific deviations are. So these ones with like the sort of backwards septimal comma, or whatever it's called, have minus 131 cents in this case, or minus 31 cents, which is the approximate deviation in cents for 7th and 14th partials. And then all of the other ones that I had not currently done prior to this are now present as well. And so the amazing thing is when you want to modify an accidental, what you would do is you would click Option plus Shift or Alt plus Shift, and you can just toggle through all of the various accidentals that are possible. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you what this sounds like. So this first dyad that you see in the cello is a B, which is equal tempered, and an A, which is lowered by 14 cents. I'm actually going to lower that further to make it a 7th partial, to make it like the 7th partial of a B overtone series. So if we were to listen to this, I'm going to click Option P to make this the specific point where I'm going to listen, and then hit the space bar. That would be how like a justly tuned minor 7th would sound, where B is the fundamental or a multiple of the fundamental, and the A is lowered by 31 cents to be the 7th partial. Now, this is MIDI, so it has vibrato. It's not gonna be a perfect rendering. Even if I put sends of vibrato, for whatever reason, I'm not able to. So if you know how to solve this, let me know in the comments what the solution for any instrument that has vibrato is. If you can turn off vibrato, that would be amazing. I did not figure out how to do that, but that would be how you would modify it. So you already noticed right off the bat, I have a dyad that has two different kinds of tunings present simultaneously. And so that's what I love about Dorico so far, is this amazing, sophisticated malleability of tuning that it offers so that you can create really high resolution versions of your microtonal music. So what I've done is inside these repeat signs, I have the equal tempered. So on measure 2, I have B, D sharp, A, and it's orchestrated into the string quartet. And then the next one, I have a justly tuned B, D sharp as like the 5th partial, and then the A is the 7th partial. And so the violin 1 just doubles that A, the violin 2 doubles the D sharp, viola, cello play a B. And so I'm just gonna play that so that you can hear it. So you can quickly hear the difference between like the original equal tempered, 12-tone equal tempered version and my simplified just intonation. Now I'm gonna just play through the rest of this so that you can hear, but let me just walk you quickly through what you're gonna listen to. So the piano then just isolates the chords in bars 4 and 5 of what you heard in bars 2 and 3. And then I tried to do a different chord in bars 6 and 7 related to a G spectrum. So you see G, the F 7th partial, the B 5th partial, and then the C quarter tone sharp, which is like the 11th partial. These are, again, approximations. So it's not going to be an exact perfect rendering, but I'm not really worried about that too much. If you are, then again, use one of the more sophisticated tuning systems like you can find online. So then after that, it oscillates between, let's see, we have a sort of C spectrum where you have this B flat that's lowered to the 7th partial, and then we have an E flat where you have sort of like a 5th partial G that's lowered by 14 cents, and then the E flat and the B flat are equal tempered. So I'm just going to play from the beginning so you can hear all of these different chords. So there you have it. This is how I have learned how to be able to create tuning systems or use sort of like the built-in equal tempered, either 12 tone or 24 tone. You can create as many divisions as you want. You can find tutorials about this online. Shout out to the channel New Music Resources. I learned a lot by watching this guy's videos. I also learned from the Dorico tutorial on creating tuning systems. I'll put a link to both of those resources in the description. As always, feel free to like and subscribe if you find these helpful. I'm going to be doing more tutorials on Dorico, specifically for non-traditional notation and non-traditional uses for contemporary music. If there are specific things that you're trying to learn for your own notation practices, let me know what those things are in the comments so that I can help you to figure out how to do those things and how to, figure out how we can bridge this gap from our finale use to now becoming Dorico users. I also am a composition mentor, so if you're looking for a guide on how to take your music to the next level, then feel free to join my free community for composers. We have weekly Q&As every single week where I answer your questions, and you can also join my private composition studio where we have weekly masterclasses and I give you very highly detailed advice on how you can take your music to the next level. So if that's of interest to you, then you can find links to that in the description. Or you can just book a call with me directly, 100% for free. It's a consultation where I can figure out if I can help you meet your goals as a composer. See you in the next video.